Hi, Mike from Mike's Fuel Parts. I'm doing a rebuild on a GM type. This was a Corvette throttle body injector. Normally you'd have one more up here hooked onto it, but we're going to take this apart. I'll explain a few things. First we'll take the top off of it here. This is the injector right here. I'll take it all apart and then I'll, if you have trouble, if these are too hard to get off, sometimes you can break them loose. If these are kind of stripped, this helps too. You take a little drift punch and bang on them a few times, and what it does, it kind of folds this in and makes a little tighter fit. Also should break the screw loose. Kind of hard on your screwdriver. You can actually hit it right here to break it loose also. Or you can do like what we did. We got a ratchet wrench with the correct end. And here we go. One here is your regulator. This more or less regulates the fuel pressure. I'll do this video probably in phases. This will be the first video. I like to take my time. There's a regulator. Now you don't want to throw this whole thing into any kind of a cleaner. There's lots of O-rings and gaskets on here. Now what I like to do is I'll take a lot of digital pictures as I go along, as I take it apart, so when I go to put it back together, and if I have any questions, I just refer back to the picture. Now these regulators are preset at the factory and you never want to change them. In fact, the screw is usually welded at the factory, and obviously they don't want you to change it. People try to do it anyway, but you pretty much ruin your unit when you do that, or at least the regulator, and you got to try and find another regulator. This is spring loaded, by the way, so you want to hang on to everything. There we go. So here's the adjustment screw you see right here, and right here they're usually spot welded, but you don't want to change this, and I would not, well, you can get it chromated. We use a chromate that piece, make it look good. But here's your spring, and here's a little diaphragm which you need to replace each time. And you see this one's fluorescent, so it's ethanol ready. Okay. Lots of little gaskets and things as you go along. Okay, so there's the regulator. And let's take off the throttle position sensor here. I explain how this works in another video, but basically it's attached to your throttle valves and just basically senses where that throttle valve is and sends it back to the computer. And see, there's just it's just a pretty simple thing here. It's a little lever, and as the throttle opens or closes, this moves this, and then through the wires sends the signal back to the ECU, electronic control unit, little computer, and it just knows where everything is, as you can see. Now these should generally have new bushings put in them, so if you're doing this yourself and you need new bushings, then I can recommend somewhere to get that done. We'll have to find a way to pry this up. You never want to push this out through the bottom. You'll damage it. This will have to be cleaned and rebuilt, and we will have reman units that'll fit these. If you want to just send your old one in as an exchange unit and replace it with that, we can help you out with that. Okay, so let's see, let's take this idle air control valve. Go ahead and take it out. And that's what it looks like. So quite a bit of corrosion in there on this one. It uses a little fiber gasket on it. And then your inlet. Excuse me, that's the return line. That one there. Your fuel comes in here and gets fed, and then the regulator that goes up here regulates the fuel that goes to the injector, and it won't use all the fuel and just returns it back to the gas tank, so which would also help it cool. We have a problem these days with the fuel has a lower boiling point than it used to, and so one way to do it on a carburetor system is just like they did here, is to run the extra line back to the fuel tank. Okay, so let's see if we can get these off. I think we might want to get this out because we need to use this to pry up on it. So let me check on that. Okay, I had to go get some screwdrivers. I'm never ready for a video. We want to get the injector out. You don't want to push it out from the other side. What you do is you take a couple screwdrivers and put this one here for leverage and get underneath this one and pull it out. And it should just pop out. There's just an O-ring that's holding it on. But there's your fuel injector. So there's your main O-ring on the outside, and then you got one here. It also goes on it. So, and you can see the holes, how small they are. Don't use any wire to clean them out. The only real way to clean them out is through a professional machine like we have. And it breaks down all the deposits. Ethanol will leave back residue, or leave behind residue, I should say, and normal cleaners just won't get it out. We have ultrasonic cleaners that does a pretty good job. Okay, so there's your base unit, and there it is. And if you're not going to put bushings in it, then you can stop at this point, but I highly suggest you get it rebushed. Okay, nice fuel parts here again. We're taking apart this GM throttle body injector, and we got most of the parts off. Getting ready to take the throttle shaft out. And remember, these should usually be bushed. They're almost always worn. So first thing I do with these is make a mark on the throttle valve so that you can easily get it back in the same position again. And then use a Dremel tool to grind off the back of the screws. If you don't do that, you're probably going to break them. These are very small screws. And so grind that off first. You'll have to get new screws. And then take your time getting it out. If they start to get kind of hard to come out, run them back in, then back out again. And pretty soon you'll get them out without breaking them. But if you break it, you're going to have to drill and tap. So sometimes if they don't come loose right away, get you a little drip punch like that. Tap them on the top like that. That sometimes will break them loose. It'll also kind of cave in the top, so in case they're stripped out a little bit. And then use on these it's a Phillips. You use a good Phillips. I should have a better one. That fits the screw real good. See, I don't like the way that one's feeling. Just take your time though. It's worth spending some time on this because what we don't want to have to do is spend time drilling and tapping for sure. Now, if you're not going to drill or bush this for some reason, here's a suit nice and tight, I would suggest stopping right here and not even take this out. Just clean it like that because you're taking too much of a chance of breaking these. It would be nice to get it out and get it all cleaned up, but like I say, if you're not going to bush it, leave it alone. Save yourself some grief. Now, we rebuild these, so you don't have to do this yourself. If you don't think this is a job you should undertake, then I would suggest you send a test and let us rebuild it. When you have. You'll get it back all tested and clean. Well, I'll tell you, for little screws, they sure are a pain. Okay, I got the screws out. I didn't break them. Okay, we're going to find new screws to put in it and get the valve out of it. There we go. So next thing we're going to do is, now the shaft is spring loaded. So take some good pictures so you know where these springs are, because you're going to have to preload the springs when you put this back together. Okay. Little lever and the spring goes behind it. And there you go. And you see how the spring is. So there's the spring. And you go to put it back in. It's going to have to be wound because, see, at this point, it's loose. So this thing's going to have to be wound up and spring loaded before you put it back together. Something like this. Okay? You'll see when we go to put it back together. So there you go, it's all out. And like I say, at this point you would rebush these, drill it out. That's for a machine shop to do. You got a lot of good equipment, drill press and whatnot, you can do it yourself, get the bushing. There you go. The next thing we're going to do is clean it. There's a lot of ways to clean it. Here we hot tank them. And then we will probably these little covers off the hot tank it, and a lot of times we'll send out some of these parts like this to get it chromated and so they look good. And of course you won't be doing that if you're doing this yourself. We like to make them look as new as possible when we do it. Oh, that thing come off hard. There we go. So we're going to hot tank this and get it cleaned up, washed off. Remember, whatever you soak this in to get all the chemical off of it. When you're done, wash it off with hot water, blow it out real good, but we'll get back to that. So there's a disassembly part of the video, and you can get parts for these at mikesfuel.com. Thank you for watching.